Hey, welcome back. This is part three of a Real Point of View episode on
Of the never-ending
talking
episode.
about right, the never-ending episode, right? About talking about scenes in the movie that made it for us, that made the movie for us. So Larry was making a comment off of our conversation about In the Heat of the Night. So what were you saying, Larry?
Oh, about the Heat of the Night. I love that film. I saw that film on a double feature originally, on a double feature with the Defiant Ones.
Oh, that was a good one.
Sidney
Tony
Poitier and
Curtis
Tony
Sidney
Curtis.
Poitier. Yep.
Yeah. So
Both good movies.
That's one of my favorite films. I mean, In the Heat of the Night is.
Yeah,
And it
yeah.
really pissed me off when Rod Steiger got nominated for Best Actor and Sidney Poitier. I think he won Best Actor for his portrayal of Sheriff Gillespie in that movie. I'm not even sure that Sidney Poitier was actually nominated for the Academy Awards that year. So he got nothing. And it's like, damn it, he should have. Why didn't he get a nomination too? Even though I was just a kid at the time, it was like, it really pissed me off.
You know, he was always the class of Hollywood. Mm-hmm. Always. And that's on top of being one of the best actors we've ever seen on the screen.
Right.
And he also did a movie, Karen, with nuns.
Amen.
For which he got the Academy Award.
There you go.
Lilies of the Field.
Lilies of the Field. That's right.
God. Yeah, I'd rather he would have gotten the award for In the Heat of the Night, frankly. But okay, whatever. Yeah. I don't know why he got the award for that crazy movie.
Do you remember the song in the movie? The song in the movie?
I Got Plenty of Nothing?
Amen.
Oh.
Amen. 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 Hallelujah. Amen.
Talking to the... Okay, we'll stop. Anyway.
So I have
my point is, I don't understand why he got the award for that crazy movie.
I do have another film that I do want to talk about, and it's one of my favorite films of all time, and hold on, I got to get rid of this here and get rid of that there. Here we are. Okay, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. I first saw it when it premiered as the Saturday night movie on television, and missed all of the Grand Panavision stuff and Cinescope and all that. I later got to see it in a widescreen theater and thought it was even more brilliant. And that movie is the 1964 film of Zulu.
Ah, yes.
Michael Caine,
absolutely. And this film it's a war film. There's a lot.
That's putting it mildly.
Yeah, it's a war film, and basically you have the entire Zulu nation coming down onto a small fort with a couple dozen people, and many of them are sick. It actually is a part one of the Battle of Rorke's Drift, if you know your history. Part one of the Battle of Rorke's Drift, the fort survives. Part two, next day, the Zulu nation comes in and totally destroys the fort, or the next week or whatever it was, part two of the battle. Anyway, there's a scene. It's the last big battle scene, and the Zulu nation always chants before they're about to charge, and they're chanting something a little bit longer than normal and singing these very low sounding bass songs. And throughout that part of the film, just before that, the whole fort is getting ready for the last attack and setting up barriers and setting up sandbags everywhere and taking what little ammo they have left and handing it around. And they're terrified. They know this is it. And then one of them starts singing a church hymn. And then another guy does, and another guy. And next thing you know, that the filmmakers make this point and counterpoint between the chanting of the Zulu and the hymn of the men defending the fort. So on one hand, you got these, and then the other side you had, and the timing, is just off just enough, and so they're battling through music. They're battling for music for the right to be there. Oh my God! It is such a powerful moment in that film that you just you just want to just scream out and start singing along with one of the sides. It's incredible. It's incredible. And yes, the filmmakers got that idea from Casablanca and Play de Marseillaise. Play it. And again, and we all know Casablanca, but that scene in Casablanca does the same thing for me. It's the key moment for me in that film when you have a war, a battle with music. And again, you got the point and counterpoint going at each other. You have different melodies, different rhythms going at each other, different keys. Doesn't matter. They do it so well in that movie, just like in Zulu, that just takes a moment and then elevates the whole film there.
That's ironic because you just made me think of West Side Story.
Oh yeah.
Between the Sharks and the Jets.
Well, yeah, during
and the
We're
same.
gonna rumble tonight.
That point.
Tonight.
Well,
It's called the quintet.
Well, they began it, and we're good.
Yeah. So you've got 5 melodies there. You've got the Jets melody, you got the Sharks melody,
Tonight.
You've got Rita's melody,
and Tony's melody.
Yep, Tony's melody. Oh, Anita's melody. I said Rita. Sorry. In Tony's melody, and you have Maria's melody, and they're all singing, and then eventually they pull it all together on one vision. And
and it all ends up tonight.
And that is the dramatic, and it's the technical peak of that story.
It is.
The technical and dramatic climax of that story is the quintet.
Well, I have one more movie that I wanted to address, and this is a Gregory Peck movie, and I know I'm a big Gregory Peck fan.
Because his name is Gregory?
No, I don't think that was it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. How many Gregorys are out there in film? Not a whole bunch. It wasn't Gregory the Great, was it? It was Alexander. So, it wasn't Greg and Bob's. It wasn't Greg and Bob's adventure, was it?
Let's just get back to your man crush on Gregory Peck.
Anyway, one of my favorite movies is To Kill a Mockingbird. But it isn't even that movie. Let me get back to that.
You forgot. Oh, wait.
I forgot the name of it. It's Big Country.
That was just on. Oh, no, it wasn't. Never mind. It was Giant.
Big Country. Throughout this film, there is a antagonistic, protagonistic situation throughout the whole film in different factions of the film. But the most important one is between Gregory Peck and Charlton Heston. They think early on in the film that they're fighting over this one woman. But in reality, it's not about the woman at all. It's about right and wrong, who's smarter than somebody else, who's more experienced than somebody else. And the woman was just a pawn in that. And her ability to manipulate is minuscule at best. But there's one poignant part in the film that deals with not the men's aggressions outside of that and them trying to put each other's face in the mud. But it does start with trying to show up someone else and make them feel bad and degrade them and make them feel less. And that's when Charlton Heston says, hey, well, you don't have a horse, so we'll get you a horse since you're going to be here a while. So they get him to go to the stable and they give him the wildest horse they have that has bucked off anybody who rides it. And what Charlton Heston is trying to do to make him feel less, Gregory Peck takes as a challenge. And this movie is like this throughout the whole film, on thinking someone's less, making someone feel bad about where they're from, who they are. And Gregory Peck takes on the challenge. He takes on the challenge throughout the film, in every aspect of the film. And he's just trying to get you to understand that he's human, that he's there, he's a person. And despite where he's from, despite what his mannerisms are, it doesn't mean that he hasn't had a tough life. It doesn't mean that he hasn't been through a lot of things. This guy was a ship captain. He's had to fight waves. He's had to fight men. He's had to do all these things. And just because he's what you think is a city slicker doesn't mean that he hasn't had experiences. And Charlton Heston finds that out throughout the film gradually, that this man is formidable, not to be misunderstood, not to be overshadowed. But it all culminates in the stubbornness of Gregory Peck trying to ride this horse. He knew that horse, after his first try, was there to be to serve as his downfall, a failure. So he refused to let that happen. And once he conquered the horse, and they realized he conquered the horse, now he had to conquer the man. And his essence of he and Charlton Heston having to actually eventually duke it out. And Charlton Heston thought he had the advantage. And when it all was said and done, it was a draw. So just because you think he ain't tough, don't mean he's not. He underestimated Gregory Peck's character throughout the whole film. And Gregory Peck was a man of honor and integrity throughout the whole film. Love that film. But that moment on that horse and trying to find a way to ride that horse, it was very important for the film.
Who directed that film, Greg?
I don't remember. I want to say John Huston, but I could be wrong. I'm not sure.
Because that something like that is something that John Huston would have added to a film if it wasn't in the script already.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Looking up, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about the wait there. It was
William Wyler.
William Wilder.
Wilder. And he's
Wyler.
Robert
Wyler.
Right, William Wyler.
Okay. Very different director than Wilder.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
One was Billy Wilder. He was William Wyler.
Right. Yeah.
Well, he did a darn good job with this film.
He did.
He's an incredible director. So
yes,
one of my favorite, and I love Gene Simmons in pretty much anything she's ever done. And Burl Ives showed me a side of him in this film that I wasn't aware of. Most of my Burl Ives growing up was Frosty the Snowman. And Burl Ives
gentle
singing,
folk singer.
Exactly. It's singing all the commercial songs. Silver and Gold, Frosty the Snowman,
you know,
all this stuff. And in this movie, he plays one of the most gritty, the most tenacious.
Hateful. He's a hateful.
Rightfully so, though, because part of the angst that they were trying to oppress Gregory Peck's character with, they were doing that with him every day on the regular.
Well, one of the things about Burl Ives is that was in a lot of films where he plays that kind of a character.
Right, he did it in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof.
That's right. He also did it in the movie Ensign Pulver.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, for me, it was a shock.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a shock. I was shocked.
I was totally aback by it. I'm like, wait a minute, isn't that the jolly guy that is Jolly Old St. Nicholas and all that stuff? And all the what was it, those TV shows, the specials?
I think I was more shocked that he was doing that because I thought of him as the mean SOB type. And it's like, wait a minute, he can do Santa Claus? Wow.
You know, he's got the most spooky version of Ghost Riders in the Sky.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible. And it wasn't the first version recorded, it was the second. The first version didn't go anywhere. The actual writer of it did it. But oh my goodness, if you look that one up on YouTube, his version of Ghost Riders in the Sky, it's spooky.
Okay.
Cool beans. All righty. That was my deal.
Well, do you want any more films, or what do you want to do? Okay.
We got time.
Well, yeah. Well, I guess it is only a 3-hour tour, but yes, we do. We do have time.
Hey, Gilligan's sitting right over there.
Marianne. Okay. Enough said. Marianne. Okay, we've done that now.
Well, this won't take very long. I'm going to bring up a movie that I brought up, I think, on last week's show, The Favorite, from 2018. I mentioned that Olivia Colman won the Best Actress Oscar for this movie, and it was a movie that didn't do particularly well at the box office. It's really like a British movie, but this movie to me in a lot of ways is like peeling the layers of an onion. It's like it made me think. It wasn't a movie that I like period pieces anyway, but I wasn't like knocking myself out to rush to see this movie because I wasn't sure why I needed to see it. Mm-hmm. But when I did see it last week, I just thought it was just so well done. And there were lots of moments that were just really, really yummy, for lack of a better word, really yummy to watch. Lots of different scenes. And the actresses, the way in which these actresses, Rachel Weisz, Olivia Colman, and Emma Stone played off of each other was just, it's like watching like the Titans get into the ring and you just want to watch them go at it. And that is delicious too, because they're all three of them are such accomplished actresses and each one of them holds her own, so, and you don't see that much with women even today in movies where, there's a lot of chatter about, the year of the woman, or, women are, getting more parts, or they're behind the camera, blah, blah, blah. It's still mostly a man's world when it comes to film. But so this movie, it's kind of a treat to see this film where the women are controlling everything. So early on in the movie, there's this dynamic set up with Rachel Weisz's character because she's sort of like the chief. I would call her the chief of staff, but she probably doesn't really have a title, but she's sort of like basically the right-hand person of Olivia Colman's character, who is Queen Anne of England. And there really was a Queen Anne of England in the late 17th century. So Rachel Weisz's character is sort of like making sure that the trains run on time, making sure that the kingdom does what it's supposed to do, that the taxes are collected, and that policies are set in place that will continue the glory of England. wars are waged when they need to be waged and all this other stuff. And so Rachel Weisz is like really busy. She's really busy doing all this. Queen Anne is a queen, which means she's spoiled, she's self-centered, but she also is aware that she is the ruler. But then at the same time, it's like she's kind of like, it's like it's tough being queen. It's kind of stressful, and I can't, she can't really deal with, the day-to-day crap of being queen. But then, there are these other times when it's fun to be queen. So a whole bunch of different things are going on. And early on in the movie, there's this scene where all of these people from the court are in the same room with the queen. And Rachel Weisz is sort of like making sure that everybody's doing what they're supposed to do, that people are addressing who they're supposed to address. But it looks like a lot of bedlam, but sort of controlled bedlam. And Queen Anne just looks at all of these goings on, and she just looks at it. But while she's looking at all this stuff, you see literally a myriad of emotions cross her face. She's interested, but then she's confused, but then she's sad because she's confused. Then she's angry because she doesn't understand everything that's going on. She doesn't trust Rachel Weisz, or maybe she does. I mean, in this scene, that one scene probably took 15 seconds. And there were probably 50 emotions that crossed that woman's face. Not one word was said from the queen. She didn't say a word. She didn't move. She just looked at this. And you could just see the pathos, the tragedy, the trauma of her whole life. How do you feel sorry for a freaking queen? I mean, she's queen. But when you see that scene, you understand she is the saddest person in the world. And she's the Queen of England. How do you do that? So I don't know. I love that scene. That look, like I said, last week, that look did it for me. That's why she won the Academy Award. I'd give it to her again just for that scene. But that scene is just, to me, it just sort of, that scene where the camera just comes in on her face and you just see these emotions, that sort of crystallizes the whole movie, because the whole movie is really kind of about that. I mean, yes, there's this sort of battle of wits between Rachel Weisz's character and Emma Stone's character, but then there's the queen who is fought over, but then is also kind of like this, also ran in the story of her life and her own life story, which it's hard for me to think of anything sadder than that. And it's not a problem that money could ever solve.
That reminds me of a song by the Beatles, Money Can't Buy You Love. In this case too, not just love, but it can't always buy you the things that you desire and that you feel you deserve. Some of those things have to come through life experiences. Some of those things have to come through your associations with others to bring out some of those things. And to be rich is not enough because, again, money can only do so much. Oh, yeah. Real good. Yeah, I like her. She's a really good actress. I saw her in, we were talking about that last time, Encounter, what is it? I can't think of the TV series where the child is, the whole series
Broadchurch?
is based off Broadchurch, thank you. Based on
Yeah.
missing and found murdered. Yeah, good stuff.
The another film that is so underrated is The Third Man.
Oh, with Orson Welles.
Orson Welles.
And when Orson Welles, Harry Lime,
Joseph
reveals himself. Whoa! I mean, you're kind of expecting it because of the history of film, and if you've been watching films, you know. But the way it's done, it grips you. It's a good moment in film.
It is. That's a good one. Talking about twists and turns, and you're not even sure who's going to jail, who's dead, who's alive. This is crazy.
That's right. And it's The Third Man is also such a fantastic suspense thriller, and so when this happens, it's like everything that you want in a suspense thriller, just it grabs you right there. Here it is, boom, and it's done cinematically. It's done so well. I just love. When I watch this film, it's like, if I miss this moment, man, I gotta rewind it.
And so it made me think of something with another Joseph Cotten film with Ingrid Bergman, Gaslight, where there are, again, more twists and turns, but total manipulation, fabrication of something that doesn't exist, that horrifies you and almost drives you crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That movie is a wonderful movie. Gaslight.
Yeah, it's really well done. I love Charles Boyer in that movie, and Ingrid Bergman was just amazing in that movie.
There's another film that has a moment in it that defines the character, the main character, and this is On the Waterfront with Marlon Brando, and when he's
Rod Steiger.
Yeah, and when he says, I could have been somebody. That is not, I could have been somebody. No. That doesn't work. What he says is, I could have been somebody. He puts somebody on a pedestal. He doesn't put himself on the pedestal.
Right.
He puts and that moment, again, such great acting to pull it out in that way. It's brilliant, and it makes that whole scene work, and it adds the depth you need for that character for the rest of the film to work.
Now, I have another film that everybody's singing. Everybody. Except Rod Steiger. Do you know what that film is?
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And he does a really good job in that too.
But see, Oklahoma has a cut scene in it that the producers on the stage wouldn't allow, and the producers of the films wouldn't allow.
Rod Steiger singing.
No, it's Rod Steiger being half black.
Yeah, that's true. I remember hearing about that.
Yeah, see, every single thing, this is important, nearly every single thing that Hammerstein had anything to do with was about racism.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's where Flower Drum Song came from, in South Pacific.
And before he met Rogers, Showboat.
And Shelby, oh yeah.
So, and even though they got paid a lot of money to do Cinderella, one could argue yes or no with that, but they cut not just that scene, but a lot of scenes out from the original script, and it's hard to find. If you can find an original copy of the script, then something is you're doing good, because that's it totally changes what Oklahoma is really talking about, and that maybe being a part of the union just may not be as good as everybody thought it was.
Yeah.
It
might be a pig in a poke.
That's right. And that's why Steiger lives where he does.
Mm-hmm.
So
interesting. Steve.
I'm going to get one more in here before we leave, if you don't mind.
No, we don't. Go for it.
Karen hasn't seen this movie, unless something has happened since the last time we talked about it. But I know Larry has talked about it. I've talked about it. And you've talked about it.
Yes, sir. All right, I know what it is already.
John Wick.
Yes.
1, 2, or 3. 4, 5, or 6.
No.
I don't know.
We're talking about one.
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Okay,
It's on my list.
Thank you. We're talking about one scene. And the scene where we're talking about sets the stage, makes the movie. Understanding. It's when Vigo's son shows up. After Yusef has proceeded to kill John Wick's dog, steal John Wick's car, and Vigo has found out about it. And Vigo walks in, not a care in the world. He's just completed a deal for his father that's going to go over well. No problems. Everything couldn't be higher. He has a brand new car-ish. He's on cloud 9. And Vigo and him have a conversation back and forth in which he is very upset with what his son has done. He's very, very angry at the person whom he has done this stuff to. And the point, the real gist of the scene is when Vigo is looking at his son and he calls him Baba Yaga. And his son just questioningly goes, "The boogeyman?" And he goes, "No, not really. This is the guy you send to kill the boogeyman." And this is the first time in the movie where we really get to hear what kind of person John Wick can be.
Mm-hmm.
Then the following scene,
Because he hasn't been that this whole time.
He's a mourning husband. His wife has died. He's trying to learn to cope and move forward with his life. And we're slowly learning about the past he used to have. And then this scene happens where it's just like, no, you don't understand, because he hasn't been around during this period of time. Like, this isn't, you have angered death. Like,
That's not good.
This is the guy you send to kill the boogeyman. Everyone's scared of the boogeyman. The big, and it goes to the next scene where you get to see John Wick truly in action, and he's singing an old nursery rhyme about the boogeyman, and that scene sets up it literally has set up the franchise moving forward. From the scene where he talks about, I literally saw this guy kill 3 men with a pencil.
Yeah. So
Pencil is mightier than the sword.
And what can I interject one thing about Steve's movie real quick, and I'll be brief. As soon as in the process of when the head gangster is telling his son about the horrific thing that he has done, John Wick was in retirement. And he has come out now. He is in this basement with a hammer, chiseling the concrete where he buried all his toys.
Where he buried his past.
He buried
this
it.
Man was done.
He buried it. He was going to be a devout husband, everything. He had buried it. And now he felt he needed to bring it out because of what this young man had done.
yeah.
Now, guess who else is in this movie, Karen? John
Rod Steiger?
Leguizamo. John Leguizamo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
John Leguizamo is John Wick's friend.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So I have a very, very opposite type of film to talk about very quickly. And it is an iconic moment in film history. And this one specific moment is an iconic moment in all of film history. And when I say it, you will go, oh yeah, okay, done. Next,
It's the opening scene of The Pest.
1955. and it might have been the inspiration for The Pest, but no. And it's
Let's go.
Okay, we've got 4 minutes, guys.
Oh yes,
it's
sure, you said that over there.
1955, and it stars Marilyn Monroe, and it's the 7-Year Itch.
Oh, well, duh.
And this is the moment in the film where she's walking over the subway,
And
her
skirt
dress
goes
pops up.
flying.
and this has been copied 10 zillion times. If I had $1 for every time that moment has been copied or reshown, I'd be more rich than the richest billionaires. That is such an iconic moment.
So
And-
much so,
Because she enjoyed it.
but not that, so much so that it was even part of a Snickers commercial
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yes, it was.
Mm-hmm.
with William Dafoe. I remember.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a brilliant moment. And again, one of my favorite, matter of fact, probably top 2 of my favorite directors of all time, Billy Wilder,
Billy Wilder, yes. sir.
directed this. And everything that he does is really a dark story. He may make it seem funny or seem happy, but it really isn't. It's really about something deeper in all of us that makes us sometimes go a little mad. And he does this in such an appetizing way, and I hate to say it that way, but he does it in an appetizing way. So we don't get pushed away from the screen, but rather we want to lean forward into it and take part in what's happening in front of our eyes. And he does that very well in this film.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. 3 episodes on scenes from wonderful films that we enjoyed, scenes that helped us get into the essence of the film. So if you have films like that, send us a comment, let us know. And you never know, we might pick your film as a film that we concentrate on going forward in one of our episodes. So let us know what you think, subscribe, and find out more about film that maybe you weren't even aware of.
Where
So-
should they subscribe?
Good point, Karen. We're on YouTube at A Real Point of View on our YouTube channel. Very good. And like us on Facebook on our Facebook channel. All right. Thank you for joining us here on A Real Point of View. Have a blessed night. Have a blessed weekend. And see you guys at the movie sometime soon, I hope. See you in the lobby. And your popcorn's on Karen.
She won't
Take
be
care,
there,
everybody.
but
Right.
Peace.
I think I made it so she really won't be there. Okay. Thanks a lot. Take care, everybody. Good night.
Night.